Keep Louisiana Beautiful. We provide tools and resources and funding and programs to local communities throughout Louisiana so that they can bring about the change needed in their communities for a cleaner and more beautiful Louisiana. Today we have gathered about 300 people from every corner of Louisiana. These are people who are working diligently to beautify their communities, to remove litter, and to prevent litter. And we gather today once a year and we share ideas, we learn from each other, we have professionals that come in and speak to us, and it's just a 2 days where we can gather and learn and grow. So this year we embarked on the first litter study in 10 years, and it's important for us to have a deeper understanding of the problem so we can be more efficient in how we address it. It will help guide our campaigns, our programs, and our prevention tactics. And so what we found is pretty alarming, folks, but Louisiana spends over $91 million on litter issues every year, and that's probably very conservative. And the most alarming part is the majority of that money is spent on removal and not prevention. Only 10% is spent on prevention. So we're spending a lot of money on this issue. Unfortunately, we're spending it on the back end and not the front end. That will really bring about the changes needed and the behavior changes for permanent solutions. We also did a roadside litter study, and that showed us that at any given time there's about 143 million pieces of litter on our roadways. Louisiana has a serious litter problem, and it's going to take us all working together to solve it.
The past 2 years, specifically with the support of the Office of the Lieutenant Governor, we've seen the efforts that we're doing broaden to a statewide level, meaning that our leaders are really taking notice, both the Governor's Office and the Lieutenant Governor's Office, and making litter a priority in our state. We know it impacts economic development, quality of life, of course our health, our environment, but with the support also has come financial resources, and that has been tremendous for changing the way that the people are looking at litter in Louisiana, but also how we're able to combat it and prevent it, hopefully. And that unfortunately takes dollars, but through the Lieutenant Governor's Office, we've been able to get the dollars that we need for more grants for our community, for more staff for Keep Louisiana Beautiful, and for more programming all corners of the state that are reaching all the components, not just litter abatement, beautification, education, conservation, recycling, and sustainability. So we've really seen, in all the years I've been involved, these past 2 years have seen phenomenal growth.
KLB is just such a great organization, really involving the entire state in cleaning up, in beautifying, in restoring, of course recycling. Those things right there are very important, not only for me, but for generations to follow. And that's really something that I look with, children, my nieces and nephews, that they have something to live for as you're coming behind me.
Well, first of all, we're so excited to be able to partner with them that we did our, Keep Tangipahoa Beautiful, and the support from the Keep Louisiana Beautiful is incredible. But the idea that our citizens realize that they notice whenever a street's been dirty, littered, and cleaned up, and it doesn't just happen. There's people who actually go out there and make it happen, but it's noticeable. People have more pride in our parish. They recognize the work that our team is doing, which is an incredible team. And so it just uplifts everyone whenever you have a clean streets or a clean area that wasn't before.
We are working on our Brighten Up Baton Rouge campaign. We organized a task force last year. We have now implemented some public service announcements in collaboration with our local media, and we will now move into some additional stages of awareness and education around litter control. We're also very focused on litter abatement, of course, within the city, and uplifting our litter court. Good morning, everyone. We can't complain because we have had some bright, sunshiny days for quite a long time. So one cloudy day with a little rain, we should not complain because it's still a great day. And so I am really delighted to be here with you all and thankful that you're here visiting our vibrant capital city for the Keep Louisiana Beautiful Conference. I want to share this morning a few of our efforts here in Baton Rouge. with so many people from across our great state, all of you all who are dedicated to preserving our environment and the natural beauty that still makes this the sportsman's paradise in Louisiana. You know, our culture and our way of life are deeply rooted in our assets of land, air, and water. The very essence of our identity is intertwined with the breathtaking landscapes that surround us. As beautiful as our state is, we know that our surroundings profoundly affect the way we feel about ourselves and our community. These surroundings also directly impact our ability to attract the best and brightest to our city and our state. As the famous environmentalist Rachel Carson once said, "In nature, nothing exists alone." So, litter, the issue at hand, poses significant challenges to our community. It affects our drainage, our air quality, our water quality, and the overall attractiveness of our city. Even more disheartening, litter prevents our precious nature and wildlife from thriving. A study by the National Institute of Health has highlighted that litter and pollution in the environment are some of the consequences of COVID-19, and this reaffirms the urgency of our efforts. Now, here's the tough truth. 81% of litter is intentional and created by humans. The good news, however, is that it is also preventable. This is where we all come in. I was just having a conversation with one of our partners here with Clean Pelican, and we were talking about the work that Fran and others are doing in our school system. And I believe that's where we're going to see monumental change, is from our students and moving up. But let me tell you, the city parish already invests approximately $75 million annually in collecting trash, not only from our homes and businesses, but also from our streets and drainage ways. These efforts included 11,000 miles of street sweeping. I love statistics because it helps put things in perspective. 12,000 bags of trash collected during Department of Maintenance weekend litter cleanups, as they partner with many of our local volunteer organizations like Keep Tiger Town Beautiful and Clean Pelican. 1,800 tons of illegal dumping collected from right-of-ways. But we realize that we can't simply clean our way out of this problem. It necessitates a collective effort and a change in mindset. A change in mindset. I say that so often because I firmly believe that until we have transformative minds in our community around the impact of litter, we're not going to see the results that we desire. So that is why we launched Brighten Up Baton Rouge, our city's initiative to enhance the cleanliness, beauty, and livability of our community. It's an all-hands-on-deck effort that calls on citizens, businesses, stakeholders, and government to collaborate on initiatives that reflect our love for the place that we all call home. Engaging the community is the cornerstone of a clean city and improved quality of life. We've made significant strides in this direction, and let me just share a few with you. Our Summer Resident Leader Academy teaches community leaders how to organize long-term litter and blight initiatives in their neighborhoods. The Department of Public Works collects well over 100 bags a week on average from community groups who are conducting litter cleanups. Members of the Metro Council host cleanup efforts in their districts. On weekends, we've organized community cleanups with the help of stakeholders nonprofits, and volunteer groups. The city supports with tools through our tool lending library. We've tackled challenges like illegal dumping and post-event cleanup. We've demolished 57 structures and cleaned over 200 properties of junk and debris. But let's remember that Brighten Up Baton Rouge is about more than just cleaning. It's about reshaping our community's relationship with waste and litter. Our true challenge is to change our community's mindset. That's a constant theme that you will hear from us. Successful communities address litter at its roots. Brighten Up Baton Rouge is driven by a diverse coalition of stakeholders, chaired by the local publisher of The Advocate, Judy Terzatzis. Under her leadership, we worked with the local media stations to conduct public awareness campaigns under the Brighten Up Baton Rouge brand. This is an important step, and you may have seen the commercials already on television, on their websites, or you may have seen it in the newspaper. Public awareness is critical, but it's just one part of the puzzle. We are also looking at creative ways to increase enforcement and to address the root cause of litter. Of course, there are many causes, not just one, and we have found as quickly as we pick up litter, one of my biggest frustrations, more people find ways to put it back into our streets and our neighborhoods. And so what we need is a cultural change. I'm proud to have taken steps to address this, including our weekend litter collections, partnerships with community groups, and even larger steps like working with our garbage companies to do a better job of keeping the trash inside their garbage trucks. But let me go back to the issue of a culture change. We do that by instilling pride in community through our beloved places like our parks, our outstanding award-winning BREC system, in our schools, our home and libraries. The mindset must extend to every place we go to shift our culture when it comes to litter. This means engaging everyone, as I said, from ages 0 to 99 to truly make a cultural shift. We must collectively educate and remind one another of our goals to improve our overall quality of life. This is also our chance to make a lasting impression on the minds of our children so that they take pride in their community from a young age. Our Brighten Up Baton Rouge team has developed a short pledge to help educate our youth and reaffirm their commitment to a clean city. You know, affirmations are a big thing these days. The pledge says, I pledge not to litter anything, anytime, anywhere. I pledge to pick up litter when I see it. I pledge to help remove litter where I live right away because I know that leaving it there will attract more litter. I pledge not to litter even where there's no trash or recycling being handy, like on our waterways. I pledge not to litter even if no one is watching, and I pledge to encourage my family and friends to do the same and show Baton Rouge some love. So, I am proud to have served recently as the co-chair for the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative. MRCTI provides a common voice for those who depend most on the Mississippi River. As the capital city of Louisiana, Baton Rouge is situated, of course, on the Mississippi River, and it plays a vital role in protecting and restoring the river's unique ecosystem, culture, and economy. In spring of 2021, Baton Rouge, along with St. Louis, Missouri, and St. Paul, Minnesota, participated in the Mississippi River Plastic Pollution Initiative. This was a research initiative in partnership with the United Nations Environment Program, National Geographic Society, and the University of Georgia, and locally, LSU. What you see here on this slide is a map of the results of the research in Baton Rouge. A small group of LSU graduate students spent several days collecting, sorting, and documenting plastic pollution in Baton Rouge. They used GIS mapping and the Marine Debris Tracker app from National Geographic to provide a snapshot of the plastic pollution in our community. What they found was 1,200 beverage bottles, 1,000 food wrappers, 900 foam fragments, 800 plastic cups across all 3 cities. More than 75,000 items were collected and documented. 74% of the material was plastic, associated with about 240 major and generic brands. The conclusion of this initiative is that single-use plastics are a real contributor to litter in our communities, and it's time we start to address them. It will take partnerships, policy change, and leadership to get us there. Thankfully, yes. Thankfully, we get to do nice things with MRCTI. I really wanted to show this picture, and that's why I was, guess where I am? That's me right there. So here at this year's conference, at our MRCTI conference in Bemidji, Minnesota, I'm joined by mayors from other cities along the Mississippi River. And it's a privilege to bring my knowledge back to our capital city and work collectively towards preserving this invaluable natural resource. Next year, and I invite all of you to join us, the conference is going to be right here in Baton Rouge. And I can't tell you, seeing the Mississippi River from where it begins, being able to step into the Mississippi River at its origin really gave me great delight. And as we were there, and I'm going to work on getting a model. I want to have a model that shows the start of the Mississippi River and how it touches all these different cities and gets down here to the Gulf of Mexico. I think that would be a great educational project. So they have one there, and I'm like, we can get one right here in Baton Rouge, get that done. So in conclusion, what is it going to take to change the culture? The 3.5% rule tells us that if we involve just 3.5% of our population, we can influence a culture shift. To achieve that, we must deepen youth awareness and ignite a passion for our local environment. Embrace the circular economy and recognize the connection between waste and sustainability. Track the problem and our progress through data. Together, we can build a cleaner, more vibrant Baton Rouge. Let's continue to work hand in hand to make our state the shining example of a cleaner, more beautiful Louisiana. Thank you to Keep Louisiana Beautiful for your leadership and for convening all of us to make our individual communities a brighter place to live. And thank you all for your dedication. And I believe we all can make a lasting impact on our communities. Thank you so much.
What kind of results have you seen so far?
Well, of course, the issue of litter abatement is one that everyone agrees on and wants to see a clean community. So I have to give kudos to many of our local nonprofits who've already started the work with organized campaigns in various areas and have been making a big difference with volunteerism.
I'm going to start out with a little grassroots story of how I got here today. I've been hosting trash cleanups on the Pearl River for 12 years. I started the cleanups in 2012 after a major fish kill. The fish kill was in August of 2011. A paper mill north of me discharged black liquor into the waterway. Black liquor is the pulp byproduct of making paper, basically depleting all of the oxygen in the water and killing an estimated 590,000 fish and freshwater mussels. I was hanging out with a friend on the evening of August 11th when she received a phone call from a local said, "You've got to come see this. The river is dying. Something bad is happening." So we get there, and the fish are struggling to find oxygenated water. They are pulled into areas where fresh water is flowing from creeks, from the banks, basically anywhere where they could try to get some oxygen. So we were both young mothers at the time. We had kids at the house. We both had kiddie pools. So we went to try and save as many fish as we could. Yeah. Out of the 590,000 that died, we saved about 6,000, and we were able to release them once the water was clean again. So yeah, we did a little bit. But watching my home river die was devastating, to put it gently. I wanted to do something to help keep the river clean, and unfortunately, the fish kill was the event that led to the Pearl River Clean Sweep. So, picture one, this is where we started our first year. We had 8 volunteers show up, including me. Most of those people in that picture are my family. Year 2, we didn't get a picture, but the Girl Scouts helped clean the town and the ditches that lead to the waterways. Oh, okay.
Get up, yeah, so you can click.
Oh, better that way.
Yeah.
Perfect. Click. Which, it goes that way?
Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, there you
Okay,
go.
okay, cool. So, is it on? This one? Either one.
Okay, then I'll hold this for you.
Y'all can hear me? Okay, good. Yeah, so year 3 is when I became a kayak tour guide. So we finally had a way to clean by the water, which was really exciting. We were starting to grow, we were getting volunteers, but we were only cleaning like 5 square miles in a floodplain. And so well, let me go back a little bit. We were having trouble getting the amount of volunteers that we needed to be able to clean up the trash. So I participated in another trash cleanup in town that day, and they provided free food for the volunteers afterwards. And I was like, okay, this is a game changer. We need to do this. So the next year, which is slide 3, after promoting free food and live music and a huge after party for everybody, we really started to grow. Free food was definitely the game changer. So we were cleaning, but we were only cleaning like 5 square miles in a floodplain. So our waters rise and fall up 12 feet in 3 days. So we'd get it clean, and then the flood waters would come in, bringing with it all the trash from upstream. So I'm like, great, what are we gonna do now? So in 2017, I was scrolling on Instagram and came across this amazing lady named Abby Brayman. She was starting a trash initiative in Jackson, Mississippi, where the Pearl River starts, some 444 nautical miles away from me. She was working on forming Pearl River Keeper, and I told her my dream to clean the whole river in one day, and she asked if she thought we could do it. She's like, I don't know, let's try. She said we could make it Pearl River Keeper's inaugural event, and we can call it the Pearl River Clean Sweep. So the last picture there is our first year. In 2017, we had over 1,000 volunteers, spanned 500 miles, and we picked up 36,000 pounds of trash. We have over 20 locations that participate every year, with many of the volunteers returning each time. In my community, this has become one of our favorite events. Our mayor, our chiefs of the police, our aldermen, they all show their support by volunteering and coming out and getting good and dirty with us picking that trash up. So it's not only plastic that we pick up. The first picture, one of our aldermen is picking up a refrigerator. We've taken out deep freezers. One year they pulled up a whole motorboat. We pick up tin roofs, styrofoam blocks. Now, for the volunteers that clean by kayak, we can't really hold a lot of trash, so the motorboats will come behind us and pick up the full garbage bags. So picture 3 is my dad's boat loaded down, my #1 supporter. And then this year, our cleanup was September 16th. Unfortunately, we couldn't clean by waterway at my location because of the drought. We had no water. So there's this a wetland that I affectionately call the kill zone. Sounds great, right? It was a healthy swamp that was killed by a chemical called creosote in the 1970s. Creosote is this highly toxic chemical that they used to treat wood back in the day, such as railroad ties or utility posts. And so this area was just devastated. I've been working on it for 9 years. This year, the volunteers came out to help clean that area. We got out 1,240 pounds of trash, 44 tires, and we planted over 40 cypress trees. So, in the past 7 years, the Pearl River Clean Sweep has engaged over 4,200 volunteers, and we have removed 163,000 pounds of trash from the Pearl River watershed.
I'm the co-founder of the Louisiana Stormwater Coalition, and along with 3 other individuals, volunteers, we formed the Louisiana Stormwater Coalition. We saw a problem, and we worked together to get legislation passed in 2022 to declare stormwater a utility for the state of Louisiana.
So every time it rains, stormwater carries flood-causing sediments and also litter that combined can clog our drainage systems. The mayor just talked about cleaning of the drainage systems and the money and the time that it takes to do that. And also that this litter then gets into our watersheds and clogs our watersheds. So floods not only negatively impact our economic development and our economy in all of our municipalities and our rural areas, but also it inhibits or is a detriment to our quality of life. So we do not have to live like this. As you mentioned, we don't have to live like this. And so one of the things with having problems is there's got to be a solution. And we believe that there's really a two-pronged approach with stormwater and this solution. The first one is just what we talked about and that the mayor talked about. We have to build awareness in our communities that litter is a problem, and there's a lot of ways to solve litter on the streets in our problem before it gets into the storm drains. That's through education program, whether it's K through 12, whether it's the volunteer groups that come like to keep Tigertown beautiful and that pick up litter and build awareness in our community and bring their kids to educate them so it'll be instilled in them that litter is an important part of our lives that's not going away. Plastics are not going away, and we have to make sure it stays in and not getting out. The second part of that is we know that it's never going to be completely solved on our streets. And so we have to try to keep it out of our watersheds as well. And so there are ways that we can do that, not just by volunteering in cleanup events, but also there's equipment that we can put in to prevent it from getting there in the first place. So again, how can we make these programs sustainable? Volunteers can only do so much. And so sustainability always involves funding. And one of the ways is that we can implement utility fees within our municipalities that will help pay for those programs, not only for litter abatement, but together again, stormwater and flooding. There's 42 states. We're number 42 now. As of last year, we got legislation passed to declare stormwater a utility in our state. If you look across the states, it's about $6 a month to reflect the needs of the community for stormwater management and litter abatement. And the best thing that we found is this needs to be done sooner than later. Louisiana is behind the curve in a lot of this, and so we're trying to catch up. Right now, East Baton Rouge Parish is working with EPA on our MS4 because we failed it so many times. However, our mayor is dedicated to making this happen, and so we're looking at implementing a fee, hopefully in Baton Rouge, very soon. And just to give you another kind of little bit of information, this is not a nonpartisan issue. It's no matter if you're a red or a blue state, every state is adopting stormwater utility fees because they see economic development importance in stormwater and litter abatement, but also quality of life. And so if you look across the United States, there are stormwater programs increasing in every municipality in every state. To give you an idea of the amount of fee across the states, it's as little as less than $1 a month, all the way up to $20 to $45 a month. And this just depends upon, again, looking at a water or a sewage fee. It's based on the amount of usage. Well, stormwater management fees are usually based on impermeable surface. So the more impermeable surface you have, the more stormwater you're contributing, and therefore the greater the fee you pay. So there's models across the United States that we can use, that we don't have to reinvent, that we can implement in our municipalities. The other thing that we did is we worked on in partnering with MRCTI, who the mayor mentioned. She's a big part of Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative, who's doing the research to help back up the information that we need to abate litter and stormwater problems. And one of the first part of that is, again, community engagement. So part of this grant is looking at community engagement. We're working in Old South, Baton Rouge, and Scotlandville here in Baton Rouge. We are not just doing litter cleanup in the neighborhoods, but with that litter cleanup, we're actually collecting data on that litter. We're looking at how much is plastic bottles, how much is packaging, what types of packaging, the branding of the packaging. And then with that information, we've got an app that we can collect that data, and we can build litter density maps, like right down here in this neighborhood, and you can see where the actual larger amounts of litter are, and then you can even go back further and see what types of litter. Is it styrofoam cups? Is it beverage bottles? That way, we can circle back not only to the communities to help them determine the solutions for abating it, but we can go back to the businesses and industries and work with them to maybe develop ways, recycling bins, or looking at biodegradable containers that are not going to be left on the streets. So collecting the data as we're working with these volunteer groups is a great way to go back to the industry and then go full circle all the way to the industries that are actually producing the plastics. The other part of this, besides community engagement, that two-prong approach again, is keeping that litter that does escape out of our watersheds. And how we can do that is not only through volunteer activities, but we can put equipment in these catchment devices in our watersheds to prevent it from going all the way into our water bodies. So for example, we have working on 3 demonstration sites. This is Bayou Fountain in Baton Rouge. This is a litter boom who are working with Osprey Initiative, one of the leaders in litter catchment devices. And you can see that behind that catchment device is a pristine bayou. So this is an easier way to collect the litter before it gets into this bayou so that we don't have to have these volunteer groups breaking their backs to continually clean what's left behind. Another catchment device is at Burden. That first picture I showed you was litter in Burden that had collected over about 30 years. You can't see it very well in this picture, but we've got a litter, what we're calling a litter corral, that we just implemented that's going to prevent litter from coming into our wetlands at Burden, so that again we won't have to pick up the litter. And to give you an idea of what's collected in these booms, so this is Bayou Fountain in 2022. That boom was able to collect 773 pounds of litter. And we're also, again, collecting data on this litter. I didn't put it in this chart, but it tells us what types of litter. So again, we can go back up the bayou to determine what types of businesses we can work with to reduce the litter. This is not from the catchment device that we've just recently implemented, but this is the legacy cleanup that we did at Burden. Now it's a pristine wetlands. We collected, with help of volunteers and also with Osprey Initiative, over 14,000 pounds or 7 tons of litter that collected over the years. And as the mayor said, we're in the sportsman's paradise. We don't want to live like this. We have a beautiful natural surrounding that we want to keep clean. The other thing that I wanted to note too here is we also looked at the recyclables. And you can tell that the recyclables are greater in the waterways where we have fresher litter coming in, but in legacy litter, a lot of the recyclables are either dirty or unrecyclable. So not only is collecting the litter important and making sure it doesn't get in the street, but recycling is also another important thing that we can do with education in our communities. Our next big project is Capitol Lake. I don't know how many of you have been to the state capitol or the governor's mansion, but this is a lake that represents our state. This beautiful lake is actually a retention basin to help prevent flooding. The unfortunate thing is this is not a good model for people to look at because this lake is getting sedimented in and it is also full of litter. So it's a great example of the problems that we have within our states and in our watersheds, that litter and water are going together. So we've got EPA funding to clean up Capitol Lake and then put these same catchment devices in to help prevent litter from coming back in. So what's the future part of our work look like? Okay, so we've got the 3 demonstration sites. Capitol Lake will be embarking on this year. We've got Burden, we've got Bayou Fountain. So these are all examples of different types of water bodies that we can implement catchment devices that will work to keep litter out of our watersheds. Through this, we're developing a statewide manual that every municipality can use depending on what their problem is. Do they have bayous? Do they not? Do they have a river? Do they have a catchment or a detention system? And then tell them what types of equipment they can put in to keep litter out of their watersheds. And the other thing we're putting in this is how you can get to these catchment devices, the cost, and what it takes to maintain them. So continuing to advocate for permanently funded stormwater management programs, so not only can the catchment devices be put in, but we can sustain the maintenance of these catchment devices to keep the litter out of our watersheds. And also to communicate to everyone the difference that it can make, and we know that it's not too late to do it. We've got to start somewhere. So we want to live like this, we want to live like this, and we can all do it if we work together, all of us together, different volunteer groups, and with our state and our local governments. Thank you.
We have 3 demonstration sites, and the problem was very serious in all 3. We've made strides in all 3. The first demonstration site was Bayou Fountain. We raised the money and we installed a boom in Bayou Fountain, and we employed a company called Osprey Initiative to empty out that boom of the floatables and the trash every month or so, and that's working very well, keeping that paddle trail clean and litter-free. We have the first litter-free paddle trail in a very long time in Baton Rouge. Our second demonstration site was the Burden Center. We had 81 tons of trash at the back of Burden Center that had accumulated there in the watershed over the course of about 30 years. And we worked to get an EPA grant and cobble together some money, and now that is clean and clear, and we're installing equipment, litter catching equipment into that site at Wards Creek anytime now. And then the third site is still ongoing. It will take a little longer. It's Capitol Lakes, and we do also have grant money from the state and federal government to help install litter catching equipment in Capitol Lake, as well as Capitol Lake has now been declared a Superfund site. So within the next 5 to 7 years, it will be cleaned up.
How many of you live in New Orleans or have lived in New Orleans, have flooded when you lived in New Orleans? How many of you have your cars flooded from street flooding? Yeah, see, that's too many. No wonder our car insurance is so expensive. So this is the thing. It's funny because I worked for DEQ in Baton Rouge over 100 years ago, and I started out doing storm drain stenciling. It's before we had all these, newfangled things that we can do now. It was extremely popular, and it's still extremely popular for people to say, it says dump no waste drains to lake or river or bayou. So if we go to the next one, in New Orleans now we have what's called the Adopt a Catch Basin program. We get a lot of rain, as we've all discussed, not recently, but when it does, when it's really hard and it comes down right away, we get extreme street flooding. So our Department of Public Works desperately tries to keep up with cleaning out all the catch basins. So you'll see that, the storm drain, you'll see the picture of it's the top with the little opening, but the catch basin is something that these guys are pumping out, and the amount of debris that gets in there is just unreal. Get rid of this stuff. So you can see on the outside, the typical leaves, debris, lots of plastics, always plastic, styrofoams, stuff that could be recycled if it hadn't gotten in this storm drain. And the catch basin part you can see down below, that's how much gets in. It looks like, there's not much on the outside, but it gets in and that clogs up everything. That is the major reason for flooding, one of the major reasons, and polluting Lake Pontchartrain, because we have to pump every drop of water into Lake Pontchartrain. That also includes all the debris and the other pollutants that get in there. So basically what we're trying to do is get people, and there's a lot of groups already in our community that are already adopting storm drains, storm catch basins, and they do it on their own. Without recognition, they just want to help. When I'm at these events, the people come up to me and they say, well, I already do it. And I'm like, great, would you please get on the map so we can look better? You know, just sign up. You can name your catch basin. Some of the names we have to remove. Some of them are okay. So anyway, to be all serious about it, we really want people to participate. It's good for data. We were talking about the MS4 permit. You know, this is a stormwater permit with the EPA. One of the things that we are pushing to do is to try to get these adopted as part of our education outreach. So we also, you can barely see it, but there's that little sticker that says don't dump down the drain and everything, and that we work with our Sewage and Water Board of New Orleans too. We're all out there trying to do the right thing, and the citizens, I can't say enough, but it really is an incentive when you don't want your car to flood. That is the issue a lot of people respond to, and so we are getting some success, and so we just want to give people credit. You know, get on the map. We, if you're interested, you can ask questions, but if you go to catchbasin.nola.gov, that is where you can see how we do it, how we track it, and I think that's about all I've got at this point.
Thank you, Ann.
I am absolutely delighted to be here with you all today to celebrate everyday heroes. Right? That's a powerful world. So before we sort of delve into that a little bit, I want to add my thanks and special recognition to our amazing MC, Mr. Gilroy. Thank you very much. It's quite a job to MC something like this over 2 days. So thanks for your work and preparation. Certainly to keep Louisiana beautiful, to Susan and Courtney and the KLB board for your vision, your leadership, and your partnership. Your work stands out as a boot kick for the rest of us. Your Leaders Against Litter, your university chapters, your marketing efforts continue to drive innovation across the entire KAB network. And when innovation happens across the network, big things happen. So for those of you who are not quite familiar with the broader Keep America Beautiful network, we're an organization of 700 affiliates across the country. Many of our states have affiliates of their own, like right here in Louisiana. And so it's actually a network of about 2,500 organizations who are boots on the ground doing work every day in their community. And what that rolls up to when everybody comes together is quite astounding. So I have breaking numbers from this year's Great American Cleanup. Not all the communities have reported yet. And even yet, the numbers are pretty remarkable. As a network, between the first day of spring and the first day of summer, we have planted 90,000 trees. We have planted 755,000 plants, 1.8 million volunteer hours, 1,065,000 participants across the country. We estimate that our work during this period touches 1 in 5 Americans and maybe as many as 1 in 3. So everyone give yourselves a round of applause. We all share in these numbers and in those outcomes. And our work together reaches, in the new universe of social media, not so new anymore, an estimated 20.2 million impressions, 3,300 earned media stories. So those are stories you don't pay for, you earn them by the great work that you're doing. And so, again, we reach a very broad audience when we all work together. So thank you to the everyday heroes that we recognize here today. Your efforts are part of that larger movement in big and important ways. So de Tocqueville wrote at the dawn of the 19th century, and George H.W. Bush wrote as early as the late 20th century. both noted that we are a nation of exceptional people for our willingness and the willingness of individuals to step forward when they see a need and say, I can help. That culture of volunteering is an amazing American export. It is developed from our culture, and it binds the American identity together. It binds us together as neighbors, as citizens of cities, as states, and as the core of the American tradition. And as you saw yesterday, litter might be the one thing we as Americans can agree on these days. In fact, yesterday, Cecile shared that 92% of folks here in Louisiana thought litter was a problem in their country. That number holds up across America, where our data shows that about 90% of Americans think litter is a problem in their community. That number polls better than any politician. We have the issue that can bring people together. I have across my notebook, purple. Green is the new purple, purple is the new green. We have the ability through the work that we do to bring this country back together, to bring us together as a community, to rebuild pride in our blocks, in our streets, in our cities, in our towns, and in each other. And I am really excited to partner with you on that effort. Litter is a problem that matters, and it's a problem that has solutions. But as Cecile also mentioned, litter is a problem whose solutions require a lot of folks to come together. It requires individuals, nonprofits, governments, and businesses to work together, and sometimes that's not easy. When we can get litter cleaned up and support communities, keeping communities clean, it can spur change. So let's focus on the economics of change a little bit more, because for our businesses and our governments, and really for us as individuals, the economics matter. So when litter remains on the ground, it affects our economics. It affects tourists' perceptions, something important to the folks here in Louisiana. A clean, attractive environment is more likely to draw tourists in, while littered areas discourage visitors. Visitor satisfaction goes down when litter is present in your communities. They're more likely to have a positive experience in a clean, well-maintained environment. I think the folks at Disney figured that out years ago. And in a world driven by likes and thumbs up, the perception and word of mouth that travels via social media can be definitely affected by reviews on websites of travel experiences in clean communities. There are also other economic impacts on property values, on recruiting new businesses into your community, and residents that are affected by the aesthetics of that community. Clean communities are an important indicator of community health and community pride. The value of cleaner and greener communities is real. Studies show improved mental health when people can experience green in their communities. And Cecile shared that green spaces that are maintained reduce litter in those communities. But they also increase community pride, social engagement, and are healthier for kids when brown spaces are cleaned up and converted to green spaces. We have research that shows reduced toxicity from things like lead and other environmental toxin, and healthier air qualities in the vicinity of renewed green space parks. So all of this plays into stronger and healthier communities. And in new research done with Keep America Beautiful, Keep Indianapolis Beautiful, and the University of Michigan, we have shown a 12% reduction in gun violence and assault when brown spaces are converted to green spaces and maintained. So as we all as a nation fight the challenges of gun violence and increased crime, We have a strategy that can reduce the impact by up to 12%. It seems to me that that is an economic driver in its own right and a driver for our communities. So each of you, in the work that you do, are contributing to those changes and those outcomes in your communities. The whys of litter prevention are everywhere. The strategies to address these are being championed right here, right now, today, in Louisiana. And so I am inviting you not to shop, to stop, and I am going to push you to do even more. We announced to our affiliate network last Wednesday the beginning of the greatest American cleanup. Starting now and going until July 4th, 2026, we are going to push 25,000 communities across America to do more, to get cleaner and greener and more beautiful ahead of the 250th anniversary of our country. We're going to invite 25,000 mayors to take a pledge, or city councilors or parish commissioners, wherever there is leadership, even universities, to take a pledge. If you are a community of more than 100,000 people, we're going to ask you to do 5 things. 5 more cleanup events every year, 4 more beautification events every year, 3 more reduce, reuse, recycle events every year, 2 more community gatherings, and those can be virtual, they can be at the libraries, but 2 more ways for people to give feedback on what matters to their clean and green communities, and 1 celebration each year of the work that you are doing, like the event that we've enjoyed here with Keep Louisiana Beautiful over the last 2 days. If you're a community of under 100,000 people or university that falls under that category, you're going to be asked to do 3 things: 3 cleanup events, 2 reduce, reuse, recycle events, or in that community listening and the celebration event. We believe that if we can get that many communities involved at that level of more, we will reach 25% reduction in the litter that's on the ground ahead of that 250th anniversary. So we invite you to do more. We thank our everyday heroes for all that they are doing, and I invite you to continue to work together. Thank you all so much. I was here today to celebrate the great work that's happening at Keep Louisiana Beautiful across the state. From the work with the Litter Leader Group, to the work with universities and communities, to the Love the Boot campaign, to the leadership from the Lieutenant Governor. Louisiana is really standing out as an innovator in addressing litter, recycling, and greener communities.
The progress has been great. You know, litter abatement moved under the office of Lieutenant Governor 2 years ago, and we have been working closely with him and his entire team. Our state legislators, thanks to them, they have allocated additional funding to address this serious problem, and that has allowed us to this past year award over $1 million to local communities so that they could better address the problem. We have created programs to engage businesses and citizens, and we have done a $1.2 million ad campaign to heighten awareness, to bring these issues to the forefront so that people will be more aware of their behaviors that cause litter.
Shreveport is located up in the northwest corner of Louisiana, and we have had an active Keep Louisiana Beautiful affiliate for 33 years. And we do everything. We feel like we're the end all for everything. We do litter cleanups. We do a lot of tree planting and tree work. We do recycling. We were very excited to get the first citywide recycling program for at least 6 years in the city. And we also, in the last 5 or 6 years, we have gotten into food insecurity, where our community gardens have morphed into big urban farms. So we've got 2 big farms, which we produce produce for food desert neighborhoods that our mobile market goes to. So we have kind of covered the spectrum that Keep Louisiana Beautiful handles, from beautification and litter abatement all the way to food insecurity and growing vegetables.
I am the sustainability coordinator at UL Lafayette. One of my task duties is being the chairperson of Keep UL Lafayette Beautiful. Our students like engagement. Our students like to be a part of the process and the change. So we did a big outreach program post Mardi Gras. Our students came out, our students, faculty, and staff community came out. We did a complete sweep of Johnson Street, which passed through campus, and picked up as much of the plastic waste from Mardi Gras beads, other waste from floats, parade goers, attendees that just want to experience Mardi Gras. Our students learned a lot about what litter can do to our waterways and our land environment, and they asked for more. So we get them involved in Love the Boot, we get them involved in any of our other cleanup events and other sustainability-focused programs.
What kind of a response have you had from the students to this project?
They love it. The students love working with our office because they're part of the change, like I mentioned earlier. They like to see their hard work make a difference on the campus that they pay a lot of good money to be at. So it's awesome, it's beautiful, and it's very impactful.
It's important for people to take pride in their community because, again, when people come to their community, they see life, they see love. And when we put that love back into communities such as that, beautifying it, cleaning it up, when we have that self-pride, everyone else has pride in it as well.
Well, first of all, the education piece to try and get our children to understand that litter's not what you're supposed to do. Keep it in your car, hold on to it, so that our adults start learning. We take the approach that we all learned how to wear seatbelts because our kids got taught to wear seatbelts. So same approach, keep working at it. It's a big job, and it's a constant job for whatever reason. I guess one side we're very proud of it, the other side is why do we have to do it? We spend a lot of money picking up after folks. If they just take care of it, we wouldn't have to.
The government or organizations can go out every day and clean up in our community. But if people don't have pride in their community, then those effects are never going to last. We're never going to see the long-lasting results and really move the needle the way we want to. We can pick up an area, you can go back the next day and it might have litter on it, but when people take pride in their neighborhoods, pride in their communities and in their public spaces, then there's an ownership there. Because again, government cannot do it alone. It has to be grassroots driven from the public. We have to start with our young people, teaching them early about why it's not okay to put things on the ground, and things that end up on the ground are going to end up in our waterways. So we've got to have that pride in place. That's the only way we'll truly change a culture in our state.
Well, it affects everything in Louisiana. It affects our quality of life. It affects our wildlife, our marine life, property values, the economy. It affects our safety and our public health. Just name it, and litter and illegal dumping and blight affects it.
What's your recommendation to people on a daily basis?
I always say that this is a problem is the responsibility of us all. It's not something that state government will solve on its own, nor local government, nor businesses, nor schools, nor individuals and families. We all have a role and a responsibility, and when we all step up and take responsibility for our own actions, and when we do things like tie our garbage bags and make sure the bed of our trucks are cleared out and our loads are covered, and that when we do see litter, go ahead and pick it up and never litter ourselves, make sure our dumpsters are covered, all of those things combined, that is when we're going to see a difference.
How can people get more information?
Sure, go to our website, keeplouisianabeautiful.org.